Hey guys, welcome back again to the Outer Dimensions podcast. I'm Dave and this is Dre, and let's talk all things movies. Past, present, future, who knows? Other dimensions of the parallel timelines. And this week, Dre, what are we talking about?
We are doing Everyone Was Kung Fu Fighting. Now, because obviously YouTube has, their copyright laws and everything, we can't play the Carl Douglas song. So just imagine the song playing in the background when I say everybody's Kung Fu Fighting. Yeah.
And if any of you guys dare ask who Carl Douglas is, there's the door.
You're too little to watch our show.
She's too young, bro. She's too young.
Exactly. She's too young. So today I'm gonna be a little bit more. Dave's a little bit. Gonna be a little bit more hands off today.
I'm a little bit phased. I'm kind of stuck in between the dimensions this week. So I'm a little bit phased out.
He crossed the streams and we told him not to.
Yeah, total protonic reversal. What can I say? But what do we love to do every week? What is our favorite thing to do in the world? Cheat sheet.
Oh yeah, we got our cheat sheet. So just to give a heads
like
up,
that.
Y'all are gonna see my background has changed because I moved my desk. So it's in a state of flux right now, our living room. So give it another week and it'll be a little bit better, but that's just that. So obviously this week we're talking Kung Fu fighting. So we have to start this with a little bit of an explanation of two different subtopics or genres of martial arts films. Everybody always thinks we hear a Kung Fu movie, they're like, oh man, there's Kung Fu movies that are out of China. There's martial arts movies that come out of Indonesia, Thailand, Japan, and Malaysia, and now India. So they were
everywhere.
What are the breakdowns? So Dave, if you can get us to the next slide, sir.
Here we go.
All right, can we make it a little bit bigger so they get the fans? I know that's so. There are two versions of what we have been told are Kung Fu movies. And it wasn't till the early 2000s, well into the early 70s, these movies were the run. And it's called wuxia. Wuxia is the flying, the supernatural element to the martial arts films. So it's like watching the Five Deadly Venoms, guys that are trained in all these crazy tactics that can use their ki to tap into these deadly poisons that they're trained to use from producing it from their own bodies. It doesn't have any real roots, I should say, in history, but it's very culturally tied, and they usually fly. Lots of fancy footwork and wires, and that's kind of where we got
the whole wire effects where they're just flying through the air like you think like someone's jumping up to kung fu kick Superman in the chin,
pretty much. So that's the first one. Now the other one is called Xianjia. Xianjia is really deeply rooted into their religious and cultural ties of medieval China. So these are like your period dramas, what we would see a lot of. This is actually one of the big Korean and Chinese dramas. It's a crossover, currently airing in China right now. I don't remember the name of it because there was no real English translation, and my Japanese is good, but my Chinese is not. So I was not able to translate it, but it is very tied to.
Hey, my subtitle game is strong. That's all.
Oh yeah, my subtitle game is great when it comes to Chinese, but this is tied to like Buddhism, Taoism, Chinese medicine, and you're looking at all the other subcategories within the categories. Hey, Colin, welcome to the show. Rolando, the mod with the mostest. It's all about their world building, so it's very tied to the drama. Again, these are also dramas, but they're more tied to romance, lot less of the supernatural, where you'd get more like, just think of it this way. This is more like the Days of Our Lives, and the wuxia is the supernatural Riverdale.
Well, we can kind of say like this is more, this would be like you've heard of space operas or you've heard of sci-fi operas. This is Kung Fu opera.
Well, no, wuxia falls under that. So like spaghetti westerns that we got, that's like wuxia. So this would be more like akin to watching like a drama on ABC, like Yellowstone, like on Paramount.
Now, talking about like operas and everything, and this day and age of remakes, how would you feel if someone attempted to make a true retelling of the Seven Samurai?
It's been done. We've had
What
several.
what was the most recent one? Would you say 20 years
Okay,
ago
the
or
last.
sooner?
Let me actually look. There was an anime that was called Samurai 7,
Okay.
and that was actually probably one of the best animated versions
Well,
of Seven Samurai
I'm not
outside of
necessarily referring
Kurosawa.
to like a modernization of it, but like a true like
Oh, you
remake
mean like
of
get like 7 actors to do the actual samurai? Like, do I get
yes,
okay?
like like
Do I get Kurosawa's
a true
daughter?
period piece. Let's just say
All right, so if it's a true period piece, do I get Kurosawa's daughter to do the script and the movie?
yes.
If I then yes, I would.
Okay.
If you could get the hardest thing would be to get the cast. But again, I know a lot of the Japanese actors from all the
Mm-hmm.
Power Ranger shows. There's
Yep.
at least
All the
two.
Sentai or the
All that.
actual Power Ranger stunt people you're referring to.
No, I'm talking like they're okay. So the guy who was the writer for Kamen Rider Deno, he did Rurouni Kenshin. He actually played Kenshin for 4 movies and a stage play.
Okay.
He is probably one of the best period actors I have seen to go from high tech goofy kid to like stoic, former assassin samurai. It was awesome to see that. So after seeing like something like that, he would be a good pick. Hajime Saito from the same anime, the actor who did, he was a Sentai actor as well.
Okay.
I would love to see a lot of those guys come back, and that would be something cool. And like I said, we can get Kurosawa's daughter, 100%.
Now, I just want to throw this out there. Anyone that doesn't know what I'm referring to, the Seven Samurai, if you've heard of the Magnificent Seven, that's just a Western, just a whole Western, take of basically it's kind of like, what Saban did with Power Rangers. He took an idea from the Far East and rebooted it over into the US. Years ago, they did the Magnificent Seven with Charles Bronson. I was blanking.
Yep.
Charles Bronson, Yul Brenner. That was the original classic to me. But I would love this. I mean, I remember watching the Seven Samurai as a kid because when I grew up,
That
it was Sunday afternoons. Was after wrestling at around 12. All we had was just all the kung fu movies on
cinema.
on WUTV. Fox 29 here in Buffalo, New York. That's all we had. So me, my grandfather, my uncle, we would watch those. That's what
Yeah.
got me into kung fu and martial arts and action movies was watching that as a kid,
Now the big actor that Kurosawa always penned to be his samurai, his lead actor, was he's been long past Toshihiro Mifune. Toshihiro Mifune is like the lead actor. He was the samurai, the quintessential. Anybody that's a fan of Kurosawa's works, and I am a huge fan of his works. Eventually, I would like to own all of his movies that he's done on Criterion Blu-ray, which they're re-releasing slowly into 4K now. He is a huge like the samurai, and there was a scene in Seven Samurai I'll never forget where Mifune is this guy's going to attack him, and it's called Iaido, which is an actual sword form where the guy's about to pull his sword, but he doesn't. He waits for the strike, like he has to be advanced upon to strike and pull his weapon, and then he sheathes it all in one movement. And the guy's like, "Yeah!" And he's screaming at him, and then eventually Mifune just like stands there, steps, slices, closes, and the guy just drops. It was like beautiful, one fluid like shot.
Well,
like probably one of the coolest things I'd seen from the 60s.
Well, see, I think that's the one thing that in the Far East, and I'm saying the Far East because it's not just Japan, it's not just Tokyo or Philippines. I consider that whole area, the Far East. They have so much discipline when it comes to their stunts and their filmmaking there. I mean, you talk about stress here in the States, that all the movie making here in the States don't hold a candle to the type of, I mean, just the intensity. I mean, like, if anyone out there has ever read anything about Jackie Chan, for example, like, they go to an academy when they're really young to get disciplines into being able to do various forms of martial arts and the stunt coordinating. And I mean, that I've seen a lot of movies on, just like behind the scenes, and I've read a few books on it, and it's just so intense what they go through. But I mean, even
Let's
their
give him an
education,
example.
huh?
Let's give him a good example. One of the graduating class that Jackie Chan graduated from the Hong Kong opera school that he went
Yes,
to, in his graduating class, Jet Li, Chow
yes.
Yun Fat, and himself, Donnie
And Chow
Yen.
Yun Fat's going to be in one of our movies we're discussing tonight.
Exactly. So there's a whole, if you guys are interested in us actually doing, and this is something that, because now, mind you, I'm biased because I speak Japanese. I have a degree in Asian history. I have 3/4 of my master's and a year or two away from a doctorate for that. If I decide to finish it, could finish all this Asian history stuff. I am a huge buff and I'm very well versed in it. So it's like I would love to sit and talk about this stuff because I don't see anybody on YouTube, save like diehard movie buffs that are like, like Blu-ray Dan, and he you could tell he loves his movies, but it's not like they're not giving you the deep dive that we'll give you. Let's just put it that way. That's why y'all are here, and we love you for that, and thank you for coming by. So let's actually get off Jean Ja. Now that you have the background information, let's actually get into the first film. This is by far one of my absolute guilty pleasure favorite Hong Kong cinema Shaw Brothers era films. Now there's a company called the Shaw Brothers. They were a group of two Chinese businessmen that had a small studio and they filmed everything on a very small budget. Now, here's the problem with this. Master of the Flying Guillotine went under a few different names, and it never had an international release except on VHS and Betamax. And there was no numbers that I could significantly find. Like, I had to go to a couple of different martial arts blogs. I went to a couple of websites trying to there was very little to no information. Could it be found? Probably, but in the time I took to do this, I couldn't find it. Now, the director, Jimmy Wang Yu, he actually stars as the one-armed man. Now, there is a lore in the story for this movie. The Master of the Flying Guillotine is a one-armed man versus the man who uses the guillotine. The man who uses the guillotine is looks like a hat trap. First off, it looks like a symbol, and you can see it on the poster. It's a razor bladed symbol. He would take it on a chain and throw it, and if it got around your neck, it got on your forehead, it would drop down to your neck, and it would make a cage. He would then pull the chain, and like a chainsaw effect, it would pull your head like right off your body.
Mortal Kombat style, guys.
Oh yeah, fatality, finish him. All the corny stuff that you see in Mortal Kombat,
I mean,
all based on this.
Imagine Kung Lao's hat on Scorpion's chain, and you're pretty much good.
Pretty much, yeah. That's actually a very good analogy because I was trying to think of a good way of putting that. I love that. So he wrote this movie. He paid for this movie out of pocket, and domestically, it only garnered $20,665. Now, if you notice, I added a new metric to our spreadsheets here, folks. I wanted you guys to see what that would be in the present day box office. So I converted everything from Hong Kong dollars to USD. So obviously, in 1976, $20,665 equates to now $110,809.80 for a 93-minute
Let's not forget
movie.
the 80 cents.
Yeah, I'm gonna make sure that 80 cents gets counted in there. Now, why does people think when people say a box office like that is, would be considered terrible here in the U.S., right? Well, in 1976, martial arts movies were not big in Asia. Martial arts movies were huge internationally, but they were actually looked as the kind of like low budget films here, like in their homeland of Hong Kong. So that's why it didn't do so well until it grew wildly popular. Now there are other actors and actresses that are in it that are in other Hong Kong films, but when we decide to do another round of like kung fu fighting style martial arts films, we'll bring those actors into the fold. But for all intents and purposes, when you look at this movie, it scored low on Rotten Tomatoes. It got 57%. But one of the things IMDb had that I thought was really cool was Quentin Tarantino said this is like his favorite movie of all time. And he's not the first American director and producer to ever claim
Well,
that he liked these films influencing his style, because Robert Rodriguez says it,
well,
and
there's
George
also a
Lucas.
well-known rap group.
Oh yeah, well, Wu-Tang Clan. That's gonna be. We're
Because
gonna
Master
mention
of
that.
Flying Guillotine,
Oh yeah,
that is the RZA's. Yeah, that I'm pretty sure that might be his favorite of all time. In fact,
yeah,
I
because
could be wrong.
it was also I think the same actors from Master of the Flying Guillotine showed up in The Man with the Iron Fist Part 1. Just a little deep dive. I had to find that out from watching Master. I actually watched that. That was such a bad movie, but it's a good bad movie again. Most people rate this movie as really bad. They look at it as it's only 1.5 stars to like on all, even fans and like the critics.
You know what though? I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna object to Rotten Tomatoes here because for several reasons. One, this is a movie that came out in '76. Two, this is a movie because let's in all brutal honesty, this is a movie that was made for the Far East audience. Different cultures there, and just like with if we take a movie we make in English here in the States, we send it over to Russia, we send it over to the Philippines, we send it over to Spain, to France, other countries. One, the language is going to come out a little bit different. Two, the culture might not take to some of the imagery or some of the dialogue, some of the story, whereas other countries or other regions of the world will. So I think it's culture clash right there, because let's be honest, Rotten Tomatoes, for the most part, is big here in the North America territories. Not so much maybe with the rest of the world. It's definitely starting to reach out there, but I mean, we're talking about a movie made in '76 before you or I were even born.
2 years. That was the year my parents got married.
Yep, technically years before we were born. Okay, we were both born in '78, so there. I said years.
I had to get it on him because he always complains that I'm the old.
I mean, I think Rotten Tomatoes number is not going to be valid, and
it isn't. But I still put it in there because it's based on the Metacritic didn't have. It was all based on fans. At least Rotten Tomatoes gave like this movie actually did eventually go to several critics, into like several big critics like Siskel and Ebert at the time and several others. And that's why I kind of based it on that low metric. But honestly, this movie's story, it was corny to begin with because it was so low budget. Like they have an Indian assassin that was the inspiration to Dal Sim, and he was a Korean actor that just fit the role. They had a Guy Jin in the film. They had a Muay Thai fighter. I think one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie is the fight scene in the metal house, where the guy's using his key to heat things up, and like the floor starts getting hot, and he's starting to and he's using Muay Thai, but the guy keeps with the one-armed boxer. He's sitting in there like trying to fight, and he's afraid because he knows the guillotine master is hunting him down to kill him. Oh, mind you, I forgot to say the master of the flying guillotine is blind. Just as a little caveat, which was one of those interesting things because all kung fu masters in these series of films have some sort of I don't want to say disability. They earn a name because of something that's tied to like an element or an activity they
limitation.
did. Yes, or a limit. Thank you, a limitation. You're on point today, dude. Look at you. You killing it today.
Hey, Cobain James.
Hey, Cobain. So this film, again, by many, I remember when we had my first anime club in college. My friend came in and he's like, "You got to watch this," and we all got popcorn. We sat in one of the classrooms in the business center, and we had like 50 people come sit down and watch this film, and they were laughing because it's got the bad sound effects. You have the bad dub overs because we didn't have subtitles because
With the
people didn't like reading.
little,
So it's like, I will stop you.
very good.
Very good. You are a master of the arts.
Like Michael Winslow in Police Academy when he's got the headband on doing his kung
Exactly.
fu.
And that's kind of been like a bad culture thing that people took to this. And that's why these movies actually fell into decline during the late 60s, 70s, early 80s. And then they had a resurgence in our next one. So let's roll to the next one. Now, if you have not seen this movie, it was by many considered to be the art house of Hong Kong
Now,
martial arts films.
was that my girl's first American movie?
Yes, it is. It is.
You know who my girl is, right?
Yes, I know. It's Zhang Ji.
No,
Michelle Yeoh. This is not her first.
no.
This was
That's what I'm referring to because she looks
all
so
right.
young in this.
Michelle Yeoh. She was 48 years old when they started filming this movie.
I mean, to go from, I mean, she's appeared in obviously Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. She was even in the Witcher prequel on Netflix.
She was also in Marco Polo.
Yes, she was also in a James Bond movie, so she is a Bond girl.
Yeah, she is
speaking.
officially. She is a Bond girl. She was in Tomorrow
Pierce
Never Dies.
Brosnan,
That was Tomorrow Never Dies for those that didn't know.
And she has played technically multiple characters in Star Trek.
And she is the first Asian woman, not American born, to win an Academy Award for supporting actress for JJ, what's good?
There we go.
She won it for Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yes.
Which I still
yet to see
I have it
with our boy short round from Indy.
So, and the Goonies. So
yep.
Just in case, Dave, I gotta put
Goonies.
I'll put that in the drive for you so you can watch it. So obviously this movie is probably has so many people tied to it that are so famous, not just in the Hong Kong cinema, but in American cinema.
But when this movie came out, though, not just the movie, not just the acting in it, the soundtrack was a big seller.
Oh, the music, yeah.
Because this was around, I mean, if you look at when it came out, it says 2000, that like the 90s and I would say probably like late 80s, early 90s through the 2000s. That was the time frame when, I mean, the musical scores had so much attention, so much promotion. Like you had re-releases of CDs, of albums because of the Oscars, which is something that we were only seeing with the movies. But now soundtracks kind of, they kind of dove off since then. But I remember movies like this and from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Gladiator, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, Shakespeare in Love. These movies just had these epic, Saving Private Ryan all had these epic soundtracks, these epic instrumental scores that, I mean, if you didn't have that music to these movies, half those movies wouldn't have done what they did. So I just wanted to throw that in.
No, and I agree. And Dave's right. This film's music is so key to the atmosphere and the culture and everything tied to this. This movie is a true definition of what wuxia film is. And it was the beginning of the resurgence of the martial arts genre in the US. And obviously we're going to start with the director. Now the director is a little well known Asian American, Ang Lee. I mean, he only did a movie that was called The Incredible Hulk. Like Eric Bana.
Yeah.
Go figure. Nick Nolte. I mean, big names that were in that movie. Yeah, it's a lot of people thought it was terrible because it was not the typical superhero film. But Ang Lee's vision was that he wanted it to not be the typical hero film. This film pays an homage to the culture, but there's a lot of controversy behind this, so we'll get into that. He actually hired a very interesting cast of people. James Seamus, I know was a name that was very popular. I didn't know there was a lot of work that he's done. Wang Hu Ling and Hu Zhong. I tried to find as best as I used Google Translate for their names, so I apologize if to any of our Asian Americans or anybody that's of Asian descent that watches this. If I'm butchering the names, I apologize. But let's actually get to the stars. Chow Yun Fat. Anybody that knows Chow Yun Fat has been in his movie that was his breakout
Replacement
movie.
Killers, and just goes on and on. I mean,
See, he went Replacement Killers. I was going with Hard Boiled. That was his. That is the the John Woo, who is. We need to do a series of John Woo films on this channel, of like everything, and
I mean,
this is it.
well, Mia Sorvino with him in
Replacement Killers was no
Killers. So I
joke.
mean that's why I went there, because Mira Sorvino, she's one of my faves. But I mean, like, what was the movie he did with Stifler?
Bulletproof Monk.
Bulletproof Monk.
Don't forget, he also did The Corruptor with Mark Wahlberg, which
I
took
love
place
that
in
one.
Chinatown.
I love that one. Believe it or not, it's kind of a guilty pleasure of mine.
It's on. I watched it when I started looking at the actors and actresses in this film. It was so much fun because I was like, I remembered Bulletproof Monk, I remember The Corruptor, Replacement Killers, Hard Boiled, and I mean, Chow Yun Fat is done. He is very well known for his gunplay. He actually worked with when John Woo did Mission Impossible 2.
Yep.
He actually, sorry, it was Mission Impossible 3, not 2. I apologize. In Mission Impossible 3, he actually worked with Chow Yun Fat, and he was in the movie, but he actually worked with Tom Cruise on his gunplay. So all the stuff that we see with John Wick and Keanu Reeves that he does for the John Wick films, Chow Yun Fat helped do that with Tom Cruise to mimic what he saw in those movies. Now, obviously, Michelle Yeoh. I can go on the list of movies this lady has been in, and we did. We opened up with, "Hey, Duff, this is,"
and I'm sorry, with respect, she's like fine wine.
Oh, she is. She is probably one of the best Asian actresses, which she's not Chinese by birth. She's Malaysian, and so is Chow Yun Fat. Just so I can give you guys a little bit of background on the two of them, because that's going to play into something we're going to talk about in a little bit. And obviously, this was her first film, which was her breakout film, and you can't beat a breakout film like this for Zhang Ziyi. She didn't speak any English. When she went to the film premiere, she spoke zero English.
Now, didn't she get some kind of some backlash back home for being in here, if I remember correctly?
She got backlash because of the fact that the film was supposed to be based on Chinese lore, and the fact that Michelle Yeoh and Chow Yun Fat are all of Malaysian descent. They're not native Chinese, so their accents were not correct. So they felt that in Hong Kong, people felt that the language was off for the film because of their dialect that they were speaking. That's like me being Puerto Rican, speaking Spanish, and a Mexican in doing like a cartel film where it's based in like Mexico or Latin America, and I don't use the proper slang or the proper terminology. That's the best equivalent I could think of for this.
You said pop instead of soda. What's wrong with you?
Exactly. That's coffee versus coffee. So the film's budget was low, $17 million. And I say that like it sounds so funny. I talk about like it's like, oh, it's only $17 million.
Yeah, but that was 2000 though. So I mean, even by those standards.
Yeah, you look at Schwarzenegger films where they're like $125 million. This was a $17 million budget, and the box office blew its numbers out of the water. $210 million. Now the movie was long; it was 2 hours, and this was not the typical movie.
Long.
It was 2 hours.
It's shorter than other movies, like say, and no, please nobody shoot me for saying this. Last Samurai, which is a guilty pleasure of mine.
That's a great movie.
Think of Gladiator. Those are all movies that are well over 2 hours.
Okay, but we can't compare. Gladiator is Ridley Scott. Like that's a Ridley Scott film.
But when you're saying a long movie, I really don't consider this a long movie. A long movie is anything that's like 2.5 hours, almost 3 hours. That would be a long movie to
Okay,
me.
so but for 2000 though, remember we
Yeah.
had we're jumping back in time. In 2000, I would say this film was a long film, and it was not.
Okay.
It was all subtitled. There was no dubs of this film in theaters for at least, and this thing had a 37-week run. So for the first, from what I read, for the first almost like 20 some odd weeks, this movie ran exclusively in certain theaters as a subtitled film. I saw this with my D&D friends when I was living in New York, and we all went and we wanted to play monks. We were like, "Oh, we're gonna go start flying wuxia. We're gonna do all." It was amazing. Now,
And
of
how
course,
many of you
go ahead.
broke your necks?
None of us. We were younger, significantly younger. So you are talking like this is what 20 years ago. So I was in my early 20s, my mid 20s then. No, early. I was in my early 20s. So yes, it was definitely different times. So this movie was nominated and won for go back. It won the best foreign language film that year. Now, obviously, that's a category. When I looked at the films it was up against, it was not. There was nothing. It wasn't like Water for Chocolate, which won the year that it came out. It wasn't like Love in a Time of Polio the year that came out. It wasn't like the pianist, the one
Pianist.
with. Yeah, I'm saying it so people understand that we're not saying a derogatory phallus. I just wanted people. We are somewhat
Well,
family friendly.
we kind of went down that route talking about Asian films as it is, because you got people with last name Wang and Wong. I mean, come on.
That's true. That's true. But
So
this films did get nominated for in the Best Picture category, but I forgot who it lost to that year. Now, I love what that this is actually based on a novel, which is also based on a graphic novel, which is manhwa, which is similar to the Korean manga, which we know, and webtoons as they are now. Hey, guys, I love we're getting some people coming in. Cobb, it's good to
there
see
you
you.
go. And guys, please, if you like these, if you like our streams, if you like the podcast, for those who are listening on Spotify, the Outer Dimensions is also a podcast, so please check it out on Spotify. But if you like this content, please don't forget to hit that like button, hit that bell for notifications, and please share this on all your social medias. Oh,
Ice Wolf, thank you.
speaking of box offices, we got Hollywood in the chat.
Yeah,
We got our nerd
Hollywood.
affiliated Archer himself.
But hey, can we let's highlight that Ice Wolf right there, 1911. Thank you, my friend. I really appreciate you. Yeah, I was trying to remember if it was American Beauty because I thought it was 2002. I didn't know that it was 2000. So that's awesome. So yeah, American Beauty wins, and you knew that was Kevin Spacey.
Yes.
That was Mina Suvari. That was a great movie in and of itself, an artistic piece of just of movie culture and cinema. So now this movie, I feel, in a lot of ways, is the perfect blending of action, romance, tension, mysticism, and, in a sense, history. Because you're getting the story of the sword. Now, if you did not see this movie, I stress I don't know where you've been under a rock for the last 23 years, but oh my God.
I mean,
Um,
I kind of want to
this,
say the story for me was, it looks like it takes cues from, and don't shoot me for this, it takes cues from maybe King Arthur, Sword and Stone, Excalibur being a mystical sword, so to
yeah,
speak.
the green destiny.
Yes, we have the love story, and we also have the young princess who really desperately wants to prove herself as a warrior, Mulan almost. So obviously the story itself probably goes further back, but it definitely seems like it has cues from other mythical stories that we grew up as children being
Now
told.
there, there was a sequel, and I'm going to tie this what Dave's saying into the sequel. There was a sequel done in 2017 called 2016 that was called The Sword of Destiny. It did not even touch this movie in levels. It wasn't great. But it was a prequel series to explain how they came to get the Sword of Destiny, which was also called the Jade Sword, and it's a weapon that bestowed upon its wielder supernatural martial arts prowess. They did not say it was magic, but for all intents and purposes, at that time, martial arts weapons were always like the spears, the poisons, the styles, everything played into like your region where you came from, and great warriors and hunters and pirates and mountain men that were.
Now, is that why in the States we had the Pick of Destiny?
Yes, exactly. When you think about
And
that,
it
like
was Jade. It was Jade, actually. So I'm just saying.
Duffman was saying, well, wait, let's go. Wait, first, whoa. Yes, thank you for pulling up that comment. Archer, Steven. I'm going to pull out the government on you, Steven.
Well, you know what? I heard he's a big fan of the Barbie movie. That's what I heard.
So I want to hear in his comment here. I'd love to see, why didn't you like this movie? Well, everybody thinks of David Carradine because of the 1970s film that had Brandon Lee in it. Because that's David Carradine's Kung Fu movie, which is loosely based on the TV show,
Kwai
which was
Ching
the
King was
precursor,
the character he played, the
and
Shaolin
that
monk.
Brandon Lee's character, that was his first feature film. I mean, a lot of people didn't. This movie is divisive because of the fact that the love story that existed between the gentleman that was that fell in love with Zhang Ziyi. He was a bandit king. She was in love with him, but then you had the kind of uneasy romance between Chow Yun Fat and Michelle Yeoh's characters because they had trained together and they were from the same school, and that love was taboo. And then you had like the betrayer in the. There was a lot of great drama and infighting, but the world building and the storytelling was just, for me, again, I'm biased because I love these types of movies. It was so divisive. Like I felt like it carried the, like you weren't. I didn't feel like you could be bored at any one point watching this film. And again, that's my opinion.
Okay,
At the time of my life when I saw it, I was heavy into martial arts movies. So when I saw this, when I saw this with so many action stars, it was too slow. That's where I get that.
Archer, is that because you have a fear of heights? Is that why you don't like the high flying fight style?
Well, that also ties into the Hong Kong opera and wuxia.
I mean, it's kind of like Dragon Ball, except you don't have any powers. It's it's kind of like Dragon Ball. You're flying through the air.
Think about this: we had the Matrix. The Matrix was inspired by the wire fu. We called it wire fu. So everything, all the fighting style that we saw in movies like The Matrix that became wildly popular by the Wachowski sisters, I love Kung Fu.
After that, I saw other movies with a similar feel and understood what it was going for.
And it's definitely not everyone's cup of tea.
I'll help you feel better, Aaron.
Exactly, Aaron. I hope you feel better, brother. I definitely will say this. I feel like it's one of those films that when you watch it, you need to watch it without kids because kids will get bored and fall asleep. If not, they'll find something else to do. If you want to watch this film, it is definitely something that you got to know what you're walking into. It's not exactly like Archer just said. It's, I saw that coming off a Police Story, Hard Boiled, Drunken Master, Master of the Flying Guillotine, The Five Deadly Venoms. I mean, you can go, those are Shaw Brothers films. So you're looking at Jackie Chan, Jet Li, Iron Monkey. All these movies started getting translated and brought over to the U.S. at this time. So this resurgence was great for the culture, but a lot of people didn't understand, like, if this was the gateway drug, why was it this one? Why not something like Shaolin Soccer, or Kung Fu Hustle, or, Police Story, or Operation Condor, or Jesus, I'm old because I'm pulling out all the old school
Project
Jackie
A.
Chan. Project A. I mean, there's like so many. Then there was that recent one he did with that was terrible
Well,
called Chariot.
Well,
Um,
what about Super Cop? That had Michelle Yeoh in it.
Super Cop. That was Michelle. That was young Michelle Yeoh.
Yep.
Oh my goodness, that was early '80s. So yeah, there's a lot if you are to really deep dive these movies, you get a lot of interesting stuff. Now, obviously, I went to two different two aggregator sites. I went to the two sites I feel are fan driven, and the fan score for Rotten Tomatoes was a 98%. That's what we would consider now fresh.
There you go. Archer going right there. I saw that movie coming off of Drunken Master, Police Story, and Hard Boiled, etc. So yeah.
And Police Stories was a series of films of
Yeah,
three films with Jackie Chan. So just in case anybody doesn't know that. Again, if you guys are interested in us and also on the podcast
which came out years before Rush Hour. So guys, little fanboys in the background, don't even try and say, oh, Rush Hour. No, Jackie Chan came to the States. In fact, one of the was the very first Police Story one with him and Danny Aiello, because Danny Aiello co-starred with Jackie Chan in one of those movies.
Storm Riders was freaking awesome. For anybody that does not know, like Storm Riders was also like the first wuxia film to use CGI and the wire fu. It was amazing. Love that film. Love that film. And the music in it was great. Like Guam Song Yong. I don't want to get this copyright struck, even if I know it's in different language. But like that music stays with me for forever. Rumble in the Bronx, obviously. Metacritic gave this one a 94%. Now I noticed on Metacritic it was heavily criticized more by fans on Metacritic than it was aggregators and like legitimate critics, industry critics. Where on Rotten Tomatoes it was heavily favored by the critics and the fans were very mixed.
Oh, Archer, I'm gonna overstep my bounds here, and I will say we will be covering Rumble in the Bronx in the future.
Oh yeah, we already that was discussion.
Rumble in the Bronx to me, that was like, I saw it in the theater.
That was a gateway drug for me. And you talked about that. That was a gateway drug for us to get Jackie
Rumble
Chan.
in the Bronx, the music, even though like all the voices were like badly dubbed, they were. But I mean, to me, like it was one of the earliest Jackie Chan movies I remember watching. Like I went and watched in the theater myself, and I always loved what we all love in the Jackie Chan movies, watching the outtakes, all the failed stunts.
The amount of injuries he got.
Yeah, I mean, this guy jumped from one side of the street to the other, from one building to the other, broke his foot. They put a cast on his foot, and then they made a sock. They painted a sock to look like his shoe, so he still was going and going. I don't know how that man is even still alive, but man is just so. Yeah, and the soundtracks were just kicking. I mean, they did a few different covers of kung fu fighting in there, but there's also a song, I can't remember the name of it, but I have it in my library here. It was actually, and the song is, I think it's called Jackie Chan is actually the song, and that's the first movie that they actually featured it in. This one rock group in like the 90s, their song was featured on the 1993 soundtrack of Angus, which is like a teen comedy, but it featured a song about Jackie Chan. And then that song was also used in Rumble in the Bronx in the end credits. Yeah, I'm a nerd.
Now wait, we're gonna let's settle the nerdness down. We're gonna actually give the reason why we chose Jackie Chan, and I know Dave and I. This is one that we pushed down in our list. It'll be covered this year. We will say that probably early fall. And Jackie Chan had a movie, and I remember I saw it recently with Pierce Brosnan. I should say recently. I saw it a couple of years ago, and I loved it. I bought it on Blu-ray. The Foreigner.
Yes, and that is a great friggin' film.
If you have not seen The Foreigner,
a different side of Jackie Chan that you never saw in a movie before.
It's definitely a more serious role for him, and is no comedy. but it plays up to all his level of stunt craziness that he does, martial arts and story driven.
I would
Great
say
film.
this. Imagine Jackie Chan in a vengeance film.
Old Boy. Imagine Old Boy, but not heavy. Not Takeshi Miike's Old Boy.
Yeah.
Like imagine Old Boy Light, where he's a vengeance film. He's going out to get, like I spit on your grave without all the hyper violence. And maybe we need to do that too, Takeshi Miike, because I love that guy. That Japanese guy is absolutely insane. For anybody that's in the chat that knows what I'm talking about, like Old Boy, Ichi the Killer, Lord help me, Kunoichi, the female ninja. I mean, I've seen all of Miike's stuff. He is another one that's. But I mean, what can I say? I mean, this is probably one of the films. This movie's in my top 10 of great films of all time, hands down. So, do you want to move us to the next one?
Fist of the Condor.
Now let's talk about Marco Zaror. Before we get into any of the other things, if you saw the latest John Wick film, Marco's got his first foot in the door in American cinema, or I should say international cinema, because of his role, as minor as it is, as a hench person, the head hench person in John Wick 4. Is Ninja in the Dragon's Den on my list of best? Okay, is it on my list of best films, like martial arts films, or is it on my list in another way? I like that Duff, man. If you want to send me one, I can always take. I take belated birthday gifts. I don't mind. Wink, wink. No, I think the hot toys for John Wick are freaking awesome. The Mafex figure they just released too at SDCC. Martial arts or comedy? Oh, I have to revisit that and sit and think, rewatch it. I have to give it a rewatch and see where I put it. If I put anything in comedy and martial arts, it's Kung Fu Hustle, Shaolin Soccer, anything Nicholas Say did in the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s.
I mean, a lot. I mean, let's face it. Almost anything Jackie does has a very strong element to it of comedy. Drunken Master. I mean, come on.
Drunken Master was kind of serious, though.
But I mean, like it's to me, Drunken Master always came off as like martial arts or Kung Fu Popeye, because all he had to do was get his drink on, and he was like invincible.
When he drank the gasoline was my favorite part.
Some bubbles might pop out of his mouth, but he was pretty much invincible. I mean, yes, you could throw the Rush Hour movies under there, but I mean, like, Twin Dragons. Twin Dragons is a fun one with Jackie,
and that was good. City Hunter, which is based on the anime, that was really good. Where he gets hit into the Street Fighter machine and he dresses up as Chun-Li.
I wish I still had I used to have I had like 30 Jackie Chan movies on DVD, like various DVDs. I had Project A. In fact, I special ordered that from a store once because I wanted it so badly. What was the one? Was it God Armor or something like that?
Yes, that was part of that series, Project Condor.
Yeah,
because that was the God Armor series.
There was Operation Condor. I remember that one.
Yes, that was the last one that we saw in theaters here in the U.S. But there was a trilogy of movies for that. So we'll get into that after, because we got a lot. There's a lot on the plate. So let's talk about Fist of Condor, El Puño del Condor, because this film is. God bless me. Thank you. Now here's something interesting. This film is influenced by Wuxia, but really has no ties except for the fact that it's got one Asian martial arts instructor in the movie, and that's a stunt coordinator who actually is in the movie, and the fact that it is tied to two brothers. This is a story of good versus evil, but this movie is very slow, and it's told. If you ever seen the movie Memento, with Guy Ritchie. Memento's told backwards. Oh, Kunzite was good. Kunzite was good. This movie's told backwards. So you're seeing a lot of the stuff told through Marco's like past experiences, and then it escalates to an ending, which I will not ruin, but it's very art house ending.
Batman shows up. Sorry.
I wish he did. Maybe John Wick should have showed up. It would have helped this film a little bit.
You ever notice you don't see John Wick and Batman in the same room? I'm just saying.
Exactly. So let's talk about where this opened up. Now, this opened up this year. Now people know I don't like talking about current movies because it's very touch and go, and I don't like giving this to Hollywood. But it didn't go to Hollywood. This went right to streaming, and it went to 2 limited releases. It never was released here in the U.S. in any theaters I know of. I had friends that live in California. I have friends that live in New York, and Texas. Those are 3 in Chicago. Those are some of the big cities that get them. And none of the theaters had it there. It did have a release in Rotterdam, which is, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm correct on my geography, Rotterdam is in the Northern Europe. So it was open for a day there. And then it went to Hi-Ya streaming, which Hi-Ya is the martial arts streaming service that is an offshoot of Amazon's Prime service. So Ernesto Diaz Espinosa is the director and the writer. He is a huge, as we use in the wrestling community, mark, meaning he's a fan of martial arts films.
Mm-hmm.
And this story is kind of like the homage, and it's kind of like if you could take Kung Fu, the Legend Continues, Kwai Chang Caine style character, give him an evil brother, and then set them on a path that diverges because of their choices, but they are eventually leading to a Cain versus Abel fight, where, or actually, the Optimus Prime.
I see what you did there with Cain.
You like it? The play on words.
Cain, David Carradine's character. Yeah.
So that's how this film goes. Gina Aguad she's a Venezuelan pop actress and pop star, and the Ival Meyer is the villain brother. But there is several sites that consider Marco to be the evil brother and Ival to be the good brother. It's open to interpretation.
We see that in comics sometimes. I mean, some people see Batman as a hero, and sometimes Batman's a bad guy. Sometimes
we know Batman's a good guy. No, Batman has a line. Yeah, Batman has a line he doesn't cross. Punisher has a line he will cross. But in this movie, a lot of people felt that this was supposed to be slated as a television series for streaming, but then the budget got cut. Now, obviously, I say budget question marks. The budget for this film was low, and on Martial Arts Action Cinema, which is what I quoted here, the film was low budget, filmed all in country, edited in country, and then sent off internationally. Why do I say the box office is not applicable? From what I can tell, the filming rights were these releases were only a day or 2, and they were given, like, I think these tickets were comped tickets, so they were like, they brought people in just to watch it, to review it. So like reviewers and maybe a couple of fans got to see it before it got to the streaming service. So that's why we don't have a box office, and it's short. It's a bite-sized film, which a lot of people criticize. Now let's talk about. Go ahead, Dave.
You did say, I mean, according to the stats here, it came out in 2023. So theaters here in the States are still trying to come back from that thing that went on in the world.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, just imagine how hard it is here. Imagine how hard it is around the rest of the world. I mean, we still have drive-in theaters here. We don't even know if that was ever a thing in Europe or in Asia or anywhere else. It wasn't. So I mean, just imagine how those theater houses, how many might have closed or shut down. So yeah, it would be harder, and it does make sense. I mean, look at movies here. Big supposed blockbuster movies within what, a month or two are going to streaming services as it is. So I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility that, maybe it didn't do too well. But let's be honest, when it comes to really great martial arts movies, they become cult classics and they make their money in DVD or video sales, aka streaming services, digital rights, digital copies of movies, NFTs, if you will. So I mean, just because it may not have made the money yet, I say yet, because who knows, a year or two from now, this could be like the biggest thing, and there might be spin-offs depending on how this movie ends. So
And there is talks from several of the other websites that martial arts action cinema. That's why I listed it here. It's called MA Action, but it's Martial Arts Action Cinema, all one word.com. The gentleman that wrote this article, he was very, very thorough, and I loved his. It was like a 4 or 5 page review, and he does go into like a lot of the minutia. And at the end of the day, he does basically say the same thing that Dave and I will tell you: go watch the film yourself. Judge for yourself. The ending is kind of open ended. It does leave you to kind of think there might be a TV series they could do from it. Could they do another movie or make this a movie series? I don't know. I don't think Marco is strong enough an actor yet to carry a movie. That's why they feel like this film didn't do well
yet.
And I agree with Dave. I'm gonna go say yet is the operative thing, because honestly, we don't know. It's only been what? It was released on Blu-ray on May 25th of this year. I mean, that's not even, we're just in July, so it's only been a few months. There's not a lot of sales that we can look at numbers wise. I think maybe in a year we'll revisit this and look at films from this year that went to streaming directly that had a very extremely limited or no release for a box office, to see what their numbers look like. What do you think?
Yeah,
I think that'd be something fun. I think it's something fun to do. Now, obviously, they said that this was originally titled Chapter 1, but it doesn't go further than that. It's a good movie. Like,
hey, Star Wars was Episode 4. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and that confused the hell out of me as a kid, because I was like, "Why is this the fourth one? And isn't this the first one?" And the rest, she is history. So these were the 3 films we chose. It was kind of hard to narrow down 3 martial arts films that one that we could find, because Hayat doesn't have a whole. Hayat does a lot more of the modern films, and Tubi and Netflix and I think Hulu might have had, and I know Prime has a few.
There should be a Jackie Chan channel. That's all I'm saying.
Tubi, if you actually just made an old school martial arts
channel, there you go.
Now I know people ask, and they probably said to me and Dave, because I know people came to me and asked me, well, why is Bruce Lee's, Enter the Dragon not on this list? Why is the Chinese Connection not on this list? Why is the Game of Death not on this list?
Because maybe we'll do just a Bruce Lee episode, people. I mean,
and that's to be fair. Bruce Lee is iconic. Jackie Chan's iconic, but Bruce Lee is the.
I mean, we could do a couple episodes on Bruce Lee, in all honesty, and we could do a month on Jackie Chan. Let's be honest, but I mean, it's
same with Jet Li.
But kung fu, martial arts movies, it isn't just strictly Jackie Chan's domain, or rather Bruce Lee's domain. We had the Great One, we had the Dragon up until a certain point in time. There are plenty of others that we can look at. I mean, personally, there is a cult film that I'm sure Dre has heard of that I would love for us to do in a future episode, which has a person of it. To me, it's at a personal level, called Only the Strong.
Oh my God!
With the Brazilian martial arts.
That's capoeira.
That's capoeira. Yeah. I mean, first time I watched it, me and my dad were watching it, and like we loved it so much that he went out and bought the VHS of it. I later bought him the DVD of it when we got rid of the videos. I even have the soundtrack still. believe it or not. And I mean, to me, it brings back a lot of memories, but also it was very cool. It was almost like Stand and Deliver meets Karate Kid
Yeah,
because
it was definitely, that movie was very stand and deliver, Karate Kid, never back
yeah,
down,
because you
sidekicks.
had an inner city school that had like the worst of the worst kids that would kill each other if they saw each other on the street, are forced into detention, everyday detention, but instead of sitting there doing nothing or cleaning cleaning erasers, they are put into a martial arts class from a that is taught by a former student of that high school that went into the military, and he learned the Brazilian martial arts while he was deployed in Brazil, called capoeira, which is kind of I always explained it to people as a martial arts based in a dance, very
Well,
dance elements.
there's a reason for that, and this is where Teacher Dre will put his teacher hat on, because I
The
wrote
Jenga,
yeah, because
yes.
this is
See, I
when
know.
I wrote my grad, one of my grad thesis was about stuff in uh, that came from overseas that was used here. Capoeira was actually started by the slaves, the Haitians, the
Hmm.
Africans, because the indigenous peoples, when they would get a break from their slave masters in the sugarcane fields in South America, they had to communicate, but the only way they could communicate was with African drumming,
Yep.
and music was a language that they could communicate in, that they weren't having
E-
to inherently say attacks, and they were
Even
practicing
here in the
dance
states,
moves.
that they called it hollering music,
Yes.
where they would sing songs, but it was a form of communication from plantations to various farms and everything. But the masters weren't aware of it. So I took a study of popular music when I was in college. So
See, see, this is why I love having Dave as my brother and my co-host, because we play off each other, folks. When people ask the questions, how do you guys get along? Because we do. That's why
we're,
we
we're,
know.
we're we're often ahead in the same way. So that's why.
Exactly. Now, at the end of the day, when people come to us and ask us again, like they say, Dre, you do martial arts, it's got to be hard. Are you going to do more? Yes,
Yes.
we have Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee, Jet Li, have all three we've got set up for later this year to do films just for their films, because Jet Li had a lot of modern films that came here that people love. Romeo Must Die. I mean, Dave and I talk about that like at least once a week. We've
I
mentioned that
mean,
movie to each other.
see if we're going to do Jet Li movies, there's one I would suggest doing, but it might be a bit of a downer for some people.
Unleashed.
Yes, because
Unleashed is one of his best.
that one is, I mean, it's a great one. It definitely makes, I mean, Jet Li acted his ass off in that.
Morgan Freeman was in that movie.
Yes, he
Bob
was. And
Hoskins.
Scott,
Bob
yep.
Bob
Rest in
Hoskins
peace.
was in the movie.
R.A.P.
That movie was solid. So, and then there's all, there's the one, which was kind of more comedy action, but
Well, you
there's
know what? I wouldn't say. See, I didn't consider the one comedy. I mean, you had Delroy Lindo. You had what's his he was in
Carla
there along with
Seguino.
Jason Statham.
Stratham was in there. Carla Seguino, who played his
Yes,
wife.
yes.
But come on,
In multiple universes.
come on. But let's be real. The last line in that movie is why I say straight comedy. He's like, "I am Hugh Law. I am nobody's bitch."
Bitch, you are my bitch.
And then he starts fighting, throwing all the guys out.
And of course, I mean, we get Papa Roach in there. I mean, come on, they play multiple times. But I mean, Jason Statham, when he has hair on the side of his head, this is like a
Yeah.
young Jason Statham before Transporter, before anything else.
And then he's
And
also, then they star again with each other in War,
yes, which is
that was
another good
a
one,
solid film. Solid
definitely.
film.
But I mean, like, you got Romeo Must Die. I mean, if you're talking, I mean, we could do a whole, like, because that kind of like where it was kind of like hip hop artists kind of getting into doing action movies, because Seagal did what was it with DMX? I used to
God,
have this on DVD. I'm trying to remember it.
give
You know
me
what
a
I'm
minute.
talking about, though.
I know the Seagal film with DMX. Let me see, DMX and Seagal.
Where Seagal is a cop and he teams up with
It's
DMX and they take down some crooked cops.
Exit Wounds.
Exit Wounds. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Not that we consider Seagal, martial arts, but it's an action movie nonetheless.
I mean, not even that. Best of the best. Best of the
Yes.
best too. I mean, Philip Rahe is like one of the greatest. Not Greatest ever. Jeff Speakman.
Yep.
Jeff Speakman. There are so many that we can go into. And
I
then
mean,
people ask
there's
us,
a
like,
lot of
how do you pick?
80s and 90s that we can go into. Cynthia Rothrock.
Oh, she's another one.
She's got a whole bunch of films.
She's aged very well. Michelle Yeoh, she's aged, but she's also, you can tell she's got surgery. So, you know, but
Hey.
she's an active practitioner of martial arts, and she's very into. She's actually just finished wrapping up a film too recently. So again, folks, when you ask us, like, when we have to go through the criteria, Dave and I don't just randomly go at a hat.
I will name one martial arts technically film that we probably may not cover, and that's Double Dragon. I'm sorry.
Maybe
if we're doing comedy.
If we do comedy video game inspired stuff like the live action Super Mario Brothers, which we have talked about.
Tap chicken butt.
You know, I mean, it did have our girl, you know, from Who's the Boss.
And they used that line in there.
They actually used Who's the Boss in there.
Yeah,
I forgot they did. So
and that's another movie with Mark Dacascos.
Yeah,
who is
one of the brothers.
John Wick alum, John Wick 3. And also he
Iron
appears
Chef alum.
he also co-stars in Legend of the White Dragon.
Yes, he does.
Which is now pushed back until February, last I heard.
Yes, 2024.
Because they want to edit. They're also doing some reshooting without JDF. Well, they can't because he passed. But they want to make
Jenna. They asked Jenna about it too. Yes, his daughter.
Jenna gave her blessing because she's also in there, by the way. But everyone wants this to be the best movie ever in honor of Jason David Frank. I'm all for it.
It's gonna be good.
I mean, they got so many awesome people in here. It's not even funny.
Yeah, like that's one that may be a more modern film that we will.
I will gladly take time for it. You know, it's
and
hopefully they'll garner more interest, and maybe it'll have a wider release, which is my hope. You know,
because I think right now it's supposed to go to limited theaters, and then it's going to have a streaming and Blu-ray release. That's as much as I've read. But again, that's not on my radar right now because I was looking at when we look at these films. And I know, like, I'm gonna give a big shout out to Hollywood. Hey, Archer. I love the fact that he's trying not to do anything current box office because of what's going on right now in Hollywood. So we're trying to do something very similar.
I do know a few people who, well, they're stage actors, but they also happen to have their SAG cards, and I'm all behind them on this. I mean, the writers, the actors, I mean, a lot of people don't realize the actors, the writers, well, maybe not as much as the writers, but the actors, I mean, they go from project to project, and a lot of times they are almost never home for their families. Heaven forbid anything happens. They need to have, these union contracts to help their families if anything happens to them, or, medical for themselves if anything happens. I mean, that's a big thing, and writers are just as important. If it wasn't, they are the storytellers. The actors are a level of the storytelling, but it's the writers themselves who actually write these epics. I mean, think of the people who wrote, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, or think of someone who wrote your favorite action or your favorite cartoon. I mean, writers covers TV, movies, cartoons, anything out there. I mean, a person who's a writer could also be writing your commercials. I mean, writing's a big deal, and I mean, not for nothing. I mean, you don't see me doing anything that's current. I had someone who wanted me to finish reviewing a TV show I was covering earlier this year, but I'm holding off on that right now. I could easily rewatch the last 4 or 5 episodes of that series and do it on my channel, but I'm not. I'm holding off on it. I'm hoping that they're going to have the contract resolved very soon. But odds are a lot of people are thinking it could be October, it could be January. Who knows how long this strike could go? But
so
it's important.
That's why we took our stand. We're not a political channel, so everybody knows. Neither Dave nor I's individual personal channels are not political either. but we wanted you guys to kind of get that idea of what we think and where we're going, because I do get a lot of requests from you guys, and half the time Dave and I do like knee jerk and we're like, man, we should do this one next, or we should do this, but then we're like, man, we want to keep it with our cadence because it's easy
And
for the workload.
and in case anyone is wondering, we are actually we have content scheduled all the way out till what, mid October,
No, we got
maybe
it up to December.
December. Okay.
Last I looked, we were up
Yeah.
until the
I mean,
last week of
we have
for
that.
Thanksgiving, definitely.
We have. I mean, we could have stuff planned until next spring if we really wanted to, but you know,
And
we're gonna shuffle things around. You know, nothing is set in stone.
yes, we were
You know,
we were thinking before the show came on
now
today. We were
now
going
you give me a
to
cement mixer and we can change that. You know, it all depends.
So, and again, we do take your ideas into consideration. So we didn't want you guys to think, oh, they just come up with the movies they want to pick. No, we do have a couple sprinkled in fan viewings. We did like where fans will pick some of the. We actually will go on the community boards on YouTube, on Twitter, on social media, and let you guys kind of pick the three films for us, and we'll review them. Obviously within the criteria that we set, but
Yes.
we do have that. We have because of our stream we just did for SDCC with EC Collecting and T3 to our brothers. Big shout out to you guys. We're doing a watch party of Harry Potter. That's also coming down the line. We may try to do that closer to the holiday time because Harry Potters are usually geared around Christmas films.
Harry
So,
Potter.
you know, and I know that
Yes.
T3 ruined it when he said that he's only seen the third up to the third film, didn't see the third film. So we need to now run him through all 8
Well,
films.
and just so you guys know, Harry Potter is Batman. He's an orphan child who finds out he's rich. He's got money, and he's not greedy about it. And what does he do? He takes on great evil and takes on evil in many different forms. No matter where he is, he's Batman. Just saying.
And his nemesis is actually tied to him in a very twisted, evil, psychotic way, just like the Joker to Batman. So I guess
And
we could say.
he's pale skinned and has a really weird and creepy laugh. Just saying.
So so that is an option. We have wondered if anybody people have also asked us what are your thoughts on doing more modern films? That's not our channel. There are several other channels you can watch out there that do that
Technically
cover it,
speaking, we did modern films today.
but we don't. I know it's not our specialty, and
No, I'm just saying. You know, so there are loopholes.
yeah, we do. But again, Dave and I discuss it, figure it out, and we run it past each other to get the idea going. But again, I wanted to thank you guys because we really do take the time to come up with these ideas. I want to give a couple of shout outs, obviously to Dave and for doing what we do. I love the backdrop on our thing here. For those of you that are listening to us on Spotify, we are now on Restream and we have some great custom backgrounds. We get to hear our entrance. If you're on YouTube and catch it, or on Facebook Live, you'll get to see the actual entrance video that Dave created. So it's a real big shout out to my brother here. He did a great job. Big shout out to the Collector Safe Space group. Our chat group is full of a bunch of great guys and a young lady. We are doing some great big things. I do want to address something that was brought up to me. We are looking to do, and I mentioned it to Dave backstage. EC Collecting and I were talking about this. We're looking to do some charity work. So maybe our watch party might be something where we could try to generate some charity funds, and we'll probably do a giveaway. It'll be the 4 of us, so maybe we'll generate each of us will do a giveaway to generate some funds to donate to working towards getting school lunches. There's a bill to be passed all across. Only 5 states have it where it's free lunch and healthy lunches, and there's obviously 45 more states that are looking to do this. So we will pick a state. It won't either be one of the ones that we live in, or we'll look at economically. We'll pick it out, and we'll send a donation to the organization called FRAC. And I just wanted to
Excuse
mention
me?
that because it makes it.
What's it called?
FRAC, FRAC. It's the food. Oh God, it was the Food Reliability something Act. It's a whole acronym. They have a great website. They only have 369 YouTube subscribers. So I've reached out to them to try to see if
So
we can.
are they frackers?
They are. They're
So
fracking. Not. They're not taking this fracking seriously.
those mother frackers.
I swear they piss me the frack off.
Uh,
Yeah, we have dad. I'm a
we, we,
dad
we,
joke.
we, we, we could do a Battlestar thing. I mean,
I know what the frack. But yeah, so
yeah.
I just wanted to kind of give you guys that. So if you guys are interested, we'll post more about that watch party because we are negotiating the time with T3 as well as EC Collecting
And
to set that up.
now this is something that was just brought up before the stream today. That's when I was mentioning about it. We might even through, who knows, as the Outer Dimensions, maybe we'll do a special live stream or two, or maybe we'll, Drake can do a few events on his channel, and we'll do a few events on my channel separately, or we'll just do all the events here. Who knows? Maybe we'll do an MST3K style, Mystery Science Theater 3000, where we're watching a movie, and what we'll do is we won't actually show the movie on your screen, but we'll give you a link where you can go to a room, kind of like a Discord, but not so much, but a private room where you can watch with us on your screens, and it's just us reacting. Maybe we'll have like 4 or 5, maybe even 6 or 8 people, and it's just us kind of like making fun of some really bad action movies or some cheesy sci-fi stuff. Like,
hey, we might watch.
Hey,
we might watch Nick Fury. And I'm not talking the bad Secret Invasion show. We're talking
no. Let's not torture the people like that.
No, we might.
I mean, who knows? If we do it around Christmas time, we could do Santa Claus versus the Martians.
Jack
There's
Frost.
a whole.
Let's
Which
do
one?
Jack Frost. The horror one with
well, there's more than one horror Jack Frost. There's like two or three
the
of
first
them,
one.
technically
The
speaking.
first one. The first one was good.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we can do.
Krampus.
What? Would you call me Francis? What?
Yes, I called you Francis.
Hey, that is my middle name, motherfucker. Hey. So,
the more you know.
Hey, the more you know. But no, we might do some stuff like that with proceeds, but maybe we'll set it up so that if we reach a certain goal, that we'll actually do that. Okay. And maybe it won't be something where, we won't necessarily charge people to join us in the room, but we need to reach a certain fundraising goal in order for us to do that kind of a stream, And I think that could be something fun that we do. I mean, there's a lot of different movies, and maybe we'll have it where you guys vote on the movie that we'll make fun of and do the stream on. So there's a lot of different things we can do here, guys. A lot of things. And remember, when it comes down to it, it's all goes towards proceeds to help out this lunch initiative,
which is something that Michelle Obama has been having around since the early, in 2008. And this thing is something that needs to take more traction because for those of us that have nieces, nephews, kids that are in school, that are young in school, and my wife's actively in the teaching profession, it's something that, it hits home for a lot of us. And it was something that I took a very strong passion to, and I'd like to do something for us, but we're going to plan it. We're going to take some time, plan it out, and try to get it out as much, because I think the Collector Safe Space group as a whole is full of a bunch of great people that have very strong opinions, but have got good hearts, and we can figure something out. So that's what we're planning to do.
Mm-hmm. And I know that the community that we're part of largely on YouTube is mostly toy collectors and action collecting enthusiasts, and they've always come out in droves. Especially, you hear us mentioning someone named Duffman's Diorama in the chat. He came through last year with my channel, Dave's Dimension. We did a fundraising initiative where proceeds went to Toys for Tots. We raised around $600 for Toys for Tots last year. So, if you guys want to help make a difference in school lunches, if you guys have some ideas on what you might think as a good idea for us to do, then you guys, you know what you do? You just simply go ahead and you're going to email us at theouterdimensionspodcast@gmail.com. You can also message us on Twitter at
the Outer Dimensions Pod, the Outer Dim Pod.
And also, you can message us on Instagram at the Outer Dimensions Podcast on Instagram. But guys, if you ever have any thoughts, any suggestions whatsoever, you can always message us anytime, any day, any night. We don't sleep. Well, not really.
I really don't.
It's the microchip in the back of my head.
Yeah, we're Johnny Mnemonic style here.
Yeah, in fact, I got a new microchip I got to put in. See? I'm analog. What can I say?
That's for his proton pack, folks.
That's what she said. But let's take a look, guys. I'm sure you guys want to know what's going on next week. If next week happens, unless there's...
Oh, no, next week's going to happen. I mean, unless I, God forbid, get heat stroke again or attempted heat stroke.
Now, what is next week? Next week is the Expendables draft.
Now, there's some rules behind this draft, folks. So Dave and I are still... We know kind of how this is going to work, but the basic idea for the draft is this. Once an individual is picked, he or she cannot be picked for your team. Now, it could be the actor or actress, and then you can pick their role. So, like if I said Hugh Jackman, Wolverine, that does not mean I'm going to go, oh, Hugh Jackman, I want Swordfish. That means any Hugh Jackman film is off the table.
So no Hugh Jackman in Real Steel. Can't do that.
Now, that would actually be really good as a character to take the Real Steel robot and have him in it, because that would be dope. But that's like, and there are limitations. Like, you're not going to say Pac Rim. I want the freaking Jaegers from Pac Rim. That doesn't count. It has to be an actor or an actress. Like, you could say James Bond and say Pierce Brosnan.
I could say Johnny Five.
You could say
technically a character. Just saying.
Short Circuit, Johnny Five, and I could say Chappie. So we limited it to 8.
J5 would kick his ass.
Chappie would kick his ass because Chappie's eat crazy. Where Johnny Five got struck by lightning.
J5 is smarter. I'm sorry.
Steve Gutenberg programmed him. That's all I'm gonna say.
No, he got struck by lightning. Self-programmed himself. There you go.
That's artificial intelligence.
Just saying.
So we have the parameters are 8, and once they're picked, that we're going to explain why we chose them, what role they would pick, and that's our Expendables team. We have yet to pick a villain and or the force of nature that's going to come, but it's not going to be superhero centric. So don't think like it's like think of the Expendables. They're a good group of guys, military trained.
Yeah,
Rambo, Commando, Dutch from Predator.
I mean, the Expendables pretty much it's like, imagine we're going to be taking people. It's kind of like if Avengers met A-Team.
I just rewatched that the other day. Love that movie.
What, A-Team?
Yeah. Love that movie. I wish there was a sequel. I will say, hey, Collective was cool.
What's up, brother? Cut, though.
It's the one I was watching. I love that film.
Okay, good.
So we are going to do that next week. You guys can play along too. So if you guys actually want, I'm gonna post. I think Dave can post
now.
It to
were we going to do a voting elements for the week after?
Yes, we were going to have a vote. So there's a way you guys are going to get to participate in this. Besides what we do, once our teams are tallied up, we will have. Basically, Dave and I are going to pre-generate our teams, but I'll have it like in slides. So that way, like I'll create my Google Slides, Dave will have his, and then I'll have like an actual roster.
Yes.
That roster will be posted to the YouTube community page, and you guys can vote on which team you think is better.
Popping through the chat, thank you.
So just giving you guys that heads up, you guys can participate in that. This is our first kind of foray into using the community page. So.
And also, I will say this. I'm going to suggest that we also post the same thing on Twitter.
I will.
Now, you guys might be wondering, well, what if Dave and Dre pick the same person? We will have alternates, obviously, in mind. We have to have alternates.
Yes.
Whether it's alternates that we pre-select or that we think off the top of our dome, hey, we'll see what happens.
You're gonna see it, folks. Or if you're listening on the podcast, you will be listening to us. You'll hear a lot.
Yeah, I mean, if you're watching this on YouTube, you're probably looking at Dre's dome right now. There you go. Turtle wax. What can we say?
So yes, again, and it's not. We do, like I said, Dave and I also know that we're not going to go superhero heavily focused. So like,
no.
because it just didn't fit the theme of what we're doing. We like the Expendables because obviously this was inspired by the movies, the film series, which is getting its fourth one in September. And I was like, well, I wanted to pick a group of actors and actresses that would fit a team that would work well against a common threat.
And we also have to flip a coin or do something. You know what? Or maybe we'll do a wheel, and this is
A
that
wheel, I like that.
a wheel is going to be how we decide who goes first.
Yeah, who goes first and who gets first pick.
Yeah.
That's so it's gonna be two different
So,
wheels. Or whoever wins one wheel automatically gets the other one. So like
yeah.
if Dave wins first pick, I get I'll get
Yep. We will do a wheel, and that person gets first pick, obviously.
So that's the plan. And this is something that has been a lot of fun. Dave actually brought this up one night while we were playing Fortnite, and I was like, this sounds way too much fun to not do this, so we have to do this. And I'm looking very forward to it. Like I've already kind of started a draft list. I have like 6 different pieces of paper with like 8 names on it, and I'm like, no, I can't have these because I know he'll pick these. So
And
it's like
guess
we're
what?
trying to be
I don't
obscure.
have anything typed down or written down. It's all in my head.
And that's the fun thing. So I'm gonna create, like I said, I'll have a Google Sheets, obviously the cheat sheet for you guys, so you'll see, and I'll try to put like images and things like that. But this is obviously I will not be here today, tomorrow or Friday, because the family and we're going to be going to GalaxyCon, and my wife's going to get a picture with Topanga, which that's like she's looking forward to it, and I'm going to get to meet Counselor Troy.
I mean,
Rafael,
who wouldn't want a picture with Topanga?
I do, but it's my wife's
You know.
birthday gift. So she can do that.
Was it
But
Danielle Official? Is that her name?
Danielle Fishel, yeah.
Yep.
So I will not be working on that stuff till I get back on Saturday night. So it will be some time. So we will have everything up and ready to go for you guys on Wednesday stream. So do not worry about that. And that's kind of where we're at. Like that's the big one. I know we have some other stuff down the pipe that may keep you guys interested, but I like to wet the palate with that one because the Expendables, a lot of people have opinions on who they would pick. Like, who would you pick as a group of actors? Your actor choice as well as
Now,
character choice.
let's clarify. Are we choosing the actors, or are we choosing a specific character that actor
First, okay,
plays?
so let's explain it like this. Again, you say Hugh Jackman,
Mm-hmm.
you have to pick
The
the
movie.
iteration of him you want.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And that's your choice, and then you'll explain why he fits your team. Like there's gonna be like everybody has a role. Everybody knows.
And how many slots are we doing?
8 slots. Leader
8
and
slots.
7. 8 slots is in there's the leader role.
Okay.
And then your I don't want to call them henchmen, but you got your number 1, and then you got
your support. I mean, you got your commander, you got whoever's on point, you got your backup crew, your support staff, basically. How many villains are we going with? And are we going to go with one villain and then like 1 or 2 henchmen or hench people to go with that person?
I almost want to bring back Jean-Claude Van Damme's character as Villain because I totally love the character. I loved him as, I love that knife. I'm going to keep your knife. It's so terrible, but I wanted to use him, and I wanted to bring back Stone Cold Steve Austin because I love Stone Cold Steve Austin as like the ultimate. I don't need to talk hench person that can pick you up and throw you into a helicopter blade and just see guts fly everywhere. Totally love those two.
What was the movie he was in? Was it Contender?
No, he was in the Expendables 1.
No. I'm talking. There's a different movie where he's actually like a cop who's undercover. And he's got he has to compete with other people on an island. They all have like necklaces that are they have explosives inside, so they have to compete against each other. Or was it like a wrist thing or something? You know what I'm talking about, though, right?
I do, and I'm trying to look at the movie because Stone Cold. I think it was. I want to say, was it The Condemned?
Condemned. Yep, that was it.
Yeah, oh my
that's
god,
a good one.
Vinnie Jones. Yeah, I remember Vinnie Jones in that. It was a spoof. It was, I shouldn't say spoof. It was kind of like a take on Battle Royale
I
meets
felt it was kind of Running
Hunger
Man-esque.
Games, Running Man. It was, and
Yeah.
Vinny Jones was the villain, and everybody
Yes.
loves that. I'm the
Well,
Juggernaut, bitch.
well, he's great in everything. I mean, he was a recurring villain in the Arrowverse, and he played a lot. He's always played a lot of characters. And remember, he was Sphinx in Gone in 60 Seconds.
Yes,
Didn't talk till the end of the movie. Just saying. So
I did
yeah,
watch that movie
so
too.
so Dre and Dave are going against each other, expendable style, and we'll just see who comes out on top. Who's
Or,
expendable team?
or Mark DeCasco, whose team will reign supreme?
I'm just saying. And by the way, we are sticking to just movies,
Yes, not TV show, movies.
no
Don't
TV shows.
because
So
y'all like to go off script and tell us like, why didn't you go? No, I'm not taking Stephen
see what
Amell.
happened was no, we're not
Now
doing
wait,
that. So
I could take Stephen Amell because he was Casey Jones. He was Casey Jones in TMNT.
you could, but I mean that Casey Jones is kind of a weak ass Casey Jones, if you ask
Oh
me.
no, I would take Elias Koteas because you gotta have. I'll never call golf a dull game again. Come on.
A Jose Canseco bat? Tell me you didn't pay money for this.
I love it. So just so you guys know, we do have a lot, and there are.
Technically speaking, I could choose Corey Feldman because he was Donatello.
You could, but that's a mutant Ninja Turtle.
So, but he was technically an actor. He was an actor and he played that character.
All right, I might choose Scorpion King. Why would I choose Hobbs? Why would I choose Hobbs?
The Rock, really?
I love The Rock, but I mean, I could pick Cena as Peacemaker.
You could.
He is a strong contender for my list. Just so you know, he is a strong contender for my list.
I can choose a lot of people.
So I know there's a lot, but JVCD, we gotta. I think. Would you guys? Okay, let's ask this to the chat before we go and to our Spotify listeners. Do you guys like our villain choice of Villain making a comeback from Expendables?
Well, no. That's your choice.
That's my choice. Did you like that? I'm asking. Would they like that, or would they like Dave's choice? Who would Dave like? Eric Roberts is another good one too. He plays a really good heel.
Trust me. He even played a heel in a 1990 was it 1992 or 93 Doctor Who TV movie as the Master.
That's right
but I mean, he's played an evil guy plenty of times. Rutger Hauer plays an awesome bad guy,
and they can be deceased. So we can pick people that have passed.
How about Doug Bradley
as your villain?
You know who he is, right?
I know. I'm thinking Doug Bradley.
Pinhead? Hellraiser.
I don't know if I'd want to have Pinhead be my villain. Nobody kill him.
Yeah,
you gotta have a villain that's killable.
Well, if you get your hands on the box, yeah, you can trap him back. I mean,
No, not that level of supernatural, because then it means you're gonna want to have the freaking Jaegers and Doctor Strange. I'm gonna give me Benedict Cumberbatch so he can go cross the multiverse.
Benedict Cumbersnatch, yeah.
Let me get Smaug. Let me get the dragon.
I mean, Smaug. Hey, I could go out there and say, hey, give me Bill Murray with a proton pack.
But see, that would make sense. I would accept that. If I don't see a Ghostbuster make your list, I'm gonna be very upset with
you. I'm just saying, look at it this way. I mean, if you got a bad guy, he's got bullets. Well, proton pack can keep on going and melt right through the bullets. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but then you could also have Neo.
Yeah, but if he's in the real world, he doesn't. He can stop a sentinel, but that's about it. I'm just saying.
Hey, yeah, because we're not going to count the new movies. But yes, folks. So just in case you want to know, villains will be Dave and I will have our villain, and we'll post it to the community group so you guys will see what our villain and their henchmen are. Because you got to have a good group of you got to have if you're gonna have the Justice League or the Avengers, you got to have their Thanos, their dark side. So
how about this? You want to put a restriction on how many special powered people? you can have on your team. Like maybe restricted to 2.
That's perfect. I love.
Okay,
I was thinking too.
because that way you don't have like, oh, I chose 5 superpowered people, you have none. So I mean, we want to, we want to make it a a good bit of competition. So there is that.
2 is the perfect number of superpowered
Okay.
individuals. So that does mean, folks, guys like Captain America, Spider-Man, Batman, Superman,
Are
Wonder Woman,
Yes, but
they
obviously
all
you have to
count.
choose a specific actor
Actor.
playing that character, and then that character is restricted to what that person did in their movie or series of movies.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's why, and we're gonna go old. Dave and I are not gonna be. I mean, we may pick. Obviously, Dave and I may pick one of the current members of the Expendables. Like, you may see Stallone, but not be Stallone. Like the character, he might be Rambo.
He might be
Yeah,
Cobra.
He might be Cobra. Shit, that'd be a dope ass character too, because Cobra was crazy.
He might be
Lundgren.
Tango and Cash. You don't know.
God, he'd be a good leader because he's so analytical.
Well, he's got the Egon Spengler glasses already, so why not? Just
And
saying.
he wore the business suits. Sister was Terry Hatcher. He cannot go wrong with that. So see, these are the things that Dave and I do. So when we come up
Yeah.
with these ideas, so this is a total passion project for me and Dave to do this, because I was
And
trying to
it won't be
dig.
the last time we do something like this. We do have some other things through the pipeline. Like, who knows? Maybe we'll do like a movie monster Expendables variation, Expendables edition.
We did talk about that one too for Halloween. That was something we did try, but we came up with something else better for Halloween.
Yes.
So just in case you guys were wondering, those were some of the ideas. So be prepared for your Expendables. Hey, and we want to see you guys in the chat, because you guys blew us away 2 weeks ago by setting us up with a first restream trophy for being so active in the chat. And I thank you guys. So please bring your list with you. Now, don't spam the chat. Like, you get excited. We're going to go pick by pick and be respectful. That's one thing I will. I mean, we're all adults, and I do know that my son and sometimes my wife watches, and sometimes our families watch. Please just be respectful. Like, just, if you don't like our choice, it's our opinion. You don't like it, sorry, not sorry.
And you know what you guys can do? You can always comment your picks on our community tab and Twitter when we make those posts. Okay?
Yeah, because we want you guys to be active. You guys proved to us 2 weeks ago how much you love our show and what we do here, which is beyond flattering to both Dave and myself. So we thank you for the hard work that we put in behind the scenes, and it really makes a difference. So thank you guys, and be looking this weekend. I want to say by Sunday afternoon, we should have everything up and running, God willing. So,
or Satan willing. What?
yeah,
Huh?
you never know.
I mean, it all depends on what God you subscribe to.
Hey, you never know.
I subscribe
So
to the Outer Dimensions podcast. Do you guys?
I know I subscribe to it,
And
and I
if
know
not,
that.
hit that red button, hit that bell for notifications.
Ding. Make sure
And
you
and and,
comment, folks. The
and
algorithm
who
loves you
knows?
commenting.
Maybe in the future there's going to be an official Outer Dimensions T-shirt. I'm just going to say. I don't know.
That's
Maybe
something
that's
that
being worked on in pipeline. I'm just saying.
we have a lot of stuff that we've been talking about. So, and the cool thing is, if you guys missed us on the stream, but you're on social media like Facebook, you guys can catch us on Facebook, which I'm currently streaming this on, as well as I've streamed it to our personal channel. So Dave and I are doing that because if you guys, some people aren't subscribed here, which we don't understand how you wouldn't be, but for those of you that are interested on Facebook that have like heard me or Dave mention this, now you're watching us. This is what we do. I hope you like it, because we do. It's fun.
It's fun for the whole family. Just like this
Unless
guy going to GalaxyCon, leaving the rest of us in our homes and our jobs.
even though here's the funny part, I did tell my brothers and my sister that I was going to let them know what I see, and that I will have my PayPal and my Venmo open if they wish to have me purchase anything at the convention, so I can get it for them. So look at me.
look at him, and he'd be like, "You know what? I'm sorry, I didn't find a single thing you're looking
And guys,
for."
look what
Oh
I
my
brought
god!
back. Man, it was exactly what I was looking for. Yeah, I know. They only had one, and I took it for me. But yeah, so just be mindful. We will. There might be some footage I might throw on here of that too. Dave and
What do
I.
you mean you found a Jason David Frank signed autograph Green Ranger Smith in box? You son of no, I'm
Oh,
kidding.
just so I could tell you, I went to Second and Charles today, and I thought that people listening to would like to hear this. I came across
I went to
one
Third
of.
and Richards.
I'm sad because I saw one of my two Grail pieces that I would like to own in
They
my
had the
collection.
Barbie Corvette. Really?
No, I told you the Dream House. Get it correct. God, you make me feel stupid. No, I found a Legacy, brand new in box, Dragon Dagger, brand new in box, in the glass case.
You know what I sold earlier this year in January, right?
hmm
Okay.
I saw. I didn't want to say anything until I saw it, and I saw it, and I was like, I want it, but the price tag on it was way out of my level of
I'm gonna
comfort.
guess 4 or higher.
No,
Higher or
low,
lower?
lower. They
2?
were asking. They were asking 249.95.
Okay. That's not outrageous. That is pretty
It's
much
not out.
that is a very fair and generous value for that actually.
It is. It
Because I
is.
sold
Now,
mine for 200 and it was out of box, but I had the original box and everything. So 200 250 for completely still sealed, never opened ever. That's amazing right there.
and I'm surprised no one has mentioned it. That's like no YouTubers that live here in North Carolina have said anything about it, and I was kind of glad I saw it. But I know that it's not going to live there long, so I was like, man, if I had the just like
I
the
mean,
cheddar to do that,
if they are smart, they can easily flip that to 2 to 3 times that value,
oh yeah,
especially if it's still mint. If it's mint
it's
and box never opened,
bro, it looks crisp. Like Hasbro Pulse, just open the box
like
from Hasbro Pulse right there.
recently, I was considering sacrificing my legacy Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Morpher because I wanted to do a project to convert it into a Master Morpher. But now that there's supposed to be a Master Morpher coming through, I may still do that actually. Considering the Lightning Collection morphers that they've had are complete trash compared to a Legacy Morpher. Anyone who's ever held a Power Rangers Legacy Morpher, it is all die cast. There's a weight to it. There is nothing feels loose. Nothing feels like it's a piece of junk. It feels, I mean, you feel like you're a Ranger when you're holding it. Now, when you're holding the Lightning Collection, not so much. Everything kind of feels very plastic, very lightweight, very loose. The sound is not that great. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And now, what the Master Morpher, they want to ask like around $100 or more for it. The rumor is.
Yep.
Okay. When they had the Mighty Morphin, like Lightning Collection Morpher, come out for like $50 when it came out, I waited. I actually got one. I still have it sealed in box. I have one on display, but I have one that I got for $25. So sometimes you play the long game and you come out. But I guess the Master Morpher is going to be a special Hasbro Pulse exclusive. So who knows what they're going to charge up the Ying Ying for. But we'll see what happens.
So again, we just wanted to kind of give you guys a little bit of heads up, and I know we kind of deviated a little bit, but that's what we do. You come to expect and love us for that on this channel. And again, if you're listening to us on Spotify, we appreciate you guys listening to us. If you do happen to catch the video of this, we are on episode 9. So next week's episode will be episode 10, and we will have the next batch
of episodes uploaded.
Now Dave. I'm going to be fair to Dave because he's the one that does this, and rendering those things does not take like a small amount of time. So we will not have those up next day for you. So give him at least a day or two, and then we'll post it to the community board that all the episodes are up on Spotify with a link, and then I'll post that link on Twitter as well. So you guys will be able to catch all of the episodes if you've missed from 1 till episode 10. So.
Which would be perfect for a long car ride. I'm just saying.
It's a good long car ride. It's also if you are at work, like we know sometimes like some of our friends are like, hey, I'm bored and I want to listen to something,
Yes, sir.
we got it for you guys. So that's it on our
Yep.
end here. And I want to say thank you guys again for sitting with us and having a good old time. We love talking this. I think martial arts films are just a lot of fun, and this is not the last time we'll be talking about it. Um, Dave, are you doing anything big for your channel this week?
Well, I need to record some videos. I don't have anything planned as of yet for Dave's Dimension. Well, I have boxes upon boxes that I need to open up and do some unboxes. Plenty of Joes I need to do. Also, I would like to give a shameless plug to the Buffalo Ghostbusters. You can find the Buffalo Ghostbusters on Facebook because right now on Sunday nights at 8 p.m., we are doing a book read with the author of A Convenient Parallel Dimension, How the Ghostbusters Slimed Us Forever. It is an end all be all, your ultimate source for all your behind the scenes information, how the movie came together, the histories of the actors, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, what they did from the 70s on before they became Ghostbusters. Ivan Reitman. It gives you a bunch of money information, like you want to know how much the movie was budgeted, how much they went over budgets, everything behind the scenes, including the story of Ray Parker Jr. and his lawsuits that Huey Lewis put against him. There's tons of information here every week on Facebook at the Buffalo Ghostbusters. Just look it up, the Buffalo Ghostbusters, and 8 p.m. Eastern live. Me and my fellow Buffalo Ghostbusters, we're actually doing a roundtable discussion discussing 2 chapters each week with the author, James Green Jr. He's an awesome guy. His next major project is actually a Guns N' Roses book, but this has information that I have not seen in any Ghostbuster books prior. And obviously, I'm a big Ghostbusters fan. Can you tell from the firehouse behind me? So, I mean, it's a fun, awesome hangout, and it's on Facebook. So please check it out. And that also is going to be on Spotify. But guys, and I mean, come on, it's called a convenient parallel dimension. We're the Outer Dimensions podcast, and I'm Dave's Dimension. So where else would I be? So please check that out.
It's
And you
never
can always
shameless.
catch replays on the Buffalo Ghostbusters Facebook page as well. So there we are. You asked for plugs. There they are.
Hey, why not? And
Hey,
we are, like I said, we have a lot of stuff that we are both doing individually for the channels that we do, plus our own. Like I said, I'm filming some stuff that I'll be doing. I don't think
he's
it's
going
going
to
to
have
go up on.
fire content from GalaxyCon. You guys know that's coming through the pipeline. And do you have any interviews next week?
I don't have anything scheduled yet.
Who knows,
I
guys?
have,
He might record a few interviews at GalaxyCon. You never know who you're
I,
going to run into at a
there,
con.
so there is a couple. I'll drop this little tidbit. I did put out a feeler to Clayton Crane, who is one of my like relatively new favorite comic book artists because he does Spider-Man, and I have Spider Geddon, the graphic novel, to be signed by him.
Mm-hmm.
And I am going to try to grab at least a couple questions with him if he doesn't mind, if he's not super busy. I know he's radically popular. And I know that the artist and the writer for Something's Killing the Children from Boom Studios, he's going to be there. And he's actually worked on another Boom Studios book called Monarch, which I really like as well. And he's a person of color. And I'd love to talk to him about his influences in the realm of art and stuff. So we have that as well. We obviously can't
Mm-hmm.
film any of our meet and greet stuff. That's just pictures, which I'll be posting at the social media. But there's Kevin Owens is supposed to be there Thursday. We're only there Thursday and Friday, so Kevin Owens is going to be there. And there's a Q&A with Orange Cassidy, who's now a producer at AEW. So I'm gonna try to see if I can put my nose in a couple of those things just to kind of get some
Well,
feelers out there and
I
see what
hear
they
the
got.
people at Boom Studios are really amazing
They are.
as far as multimedia, media, social media, and everything. So who knows? You might get a little scoop there, or just very awesome interactions. Rumor has it that some of Boom Studios storylines may cross over into the new reboot of Power Rangers. I don't know if that's true or not, but I think
I
that's
might be
the
able to
hope.
find that out. I might scoop that.
You know,
I mean, I do. Like I said, we have shout out to our boy Legacy of Nerd. That's like probably one of the biggest Ranger like groups out by YouTuber content creators that he's out there and he's doing great. But I mean, if I do it, I definitely would want to talk to him about it too to confirm, because I hear from the artist, I know he's got people that he confers with as well.
Mhm.
So that's another thing.
Now that
LeBron
Boom
Fett,
Studios is some of their characters are coming across from the comic books onto Lightning Collection now. So
there's a lot.
it's gonna be interesting.
So I know that there's another studio that's supposed to be there called Titan Comics. They've gotten into the Sentai translation of these older Kamen Rider comic books, and they're starting to do the newer Kamen Rider comic books or comics like shows. Like 01 was the last one they just did, which is from a few years ago. So I might try to interview somebody there. We're gonna see. We only got 2 days, and we don't have a whole lot of time, and we have a very big crunch on what we're doing for this project for my wife. So we'll see if I can get a minute or two. Well, like I said, I'm gonna get some fire content. Believe that, best believe.
Yep. And of course, don't forget Dre's channel is the Collector Safe Space. So please go over there, subscribe to him. He has he does his amazing afternoons live streams, the occasional interviews with some pretty amazing, not just educators, but also cosplayers across the world, across the spectrum right there. So guys, please go ahead and check Dre out at the Collector Safe Space. And of course, there's a lot more content coming through the pipeline on his channel and my channel, and of course this channel. So please stay tuned. But guys, that's it. This is the last Outer Dimension podcast for July. So we'll see you in August, because that will officially be next week is August.
Yeah, the first of August. We're literally going to have our first show.
We're running out of summer, guys. We're running out of summer. So get out there, enjoy it.
Stay hydrated.
Any last words?
Man, always watch your head on the way out of the portal, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Take care, guys. If Restream cooperates, bear with me.
Well, sometimes dimensions don't always work, right? You gotta slap.
Welcome. Wrong one.